Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing a title, a horror video game that I hold very close to my heart. It is listed as one of the best video games I've played in my lifetime, and that is Alan Wake, that dropped May 14th of 2010. I think this game was actually a birthday present from my dad back in the day, and it sucks because I only got to see my dad on weekends, so I only got to play this game when I went over there because I didn't have an Xbox 360 at my mom's at the time. And so I had to take my time with this video game, but every time I went over there on the weekends, I played the crap out of this game. It was such an awesome experience, and it's an even better experience now that I'm an avid reader of Stephen King. This is by far the most Stephen King type video game we will ever get because Stephen King does not like IP in video games. So unfortunately, we'll probably never get like a Stephen King's It in video game form or anything in that nature. But we got Alan Wake here, and it is the best thing after that. Now, Alan Wake was developed by Remedy Entertainment, and this is the first Remedy game I've ever played. I know they did Control, but I've never played Control. I did see that in the DLC, they had an Alan Wake Easter egg. Alan Wake was, in fact, in the DLC of Control, and I thought that was cool. And so I just wanted to give a review on this game in preparation for Alan Wake 2 that is dropping in October of this year. That's literally only a week or two away, and we will be playing Alan Wake 2. And I'm so excited for that game. I've tried staying away from all the trailers because I wanted to go in completely blind like I did with the first game. But let's go ahead and review this bad boy. Before we get started, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on videos like this in the future. Now, in this review, I'm going to be talking about the story elements, the gameplay, and my overall final thoughts. So let's go ahead and talk about the story, and I'm going to go over that in a brief little summary. Alan Wake is a Stephen King fan's wet dream. As a fan of that particular writer myself, Alan Wake scratches every itch in how I want a Stephen King-inspired horror game to play out. To its rich dialogue and narration, the nightmare-fueled atmosphere that surrounds you within every corner, and the buttery smooth gameplay, Alan Wake is one of the greatest horror titles in over a decade. From the opening cinematic, it's very clear what the inspiration of this game is.
Stephen King once wrote that nightmares exist outside of logic, and there's little fun to be had in explanations. They're antithetical to the poetry of fear.
Yep, A+. See you in the next video. Never mind, I'm just kidding, guys. I'll keep going. You are, of course, Alan Wake, a writer, and a fairly successful one in the thriller genre at that. Alan and his wife, Alice, travel to a small town in Washington to wind down and relax. Bright Falls, Washington is the perfect setting for a game like this, and I would love to travel there myself. Lucky for me, I've played this game and know it would be a bad idea. The couple arrive to the cabin they believe to be staying at, and Alan finds a typewriter sitting in the spare bedroom. Unfortunately for him, his wife had talked to his agent and planned to maybe getting a little writing done while they're here. Alan is close to finishing a book, but suffered terrible writer's block, and seeing this infuriates him. He barges out of the house for space and hears his wife in panic. He finds his wife had fallen off the balcony and into the lake below, and this is only the beginning of the nightmare of his own doing. Not intentionally, of course, but he wakes up in a cluster of chaos. He wakes up a week later in a crashed vehicle. How did this happen? What the hell is going on? Maybe we should ask someone for help. Oh, no, never mind. Maybe not. As Alan is searching for answers for the truth, he is hit headfirst with the creation of his own demons brought to life. The Taken, dark forces of shadow-like beings, are working with the darkness to stop Alan at all cost. Can Alan save his wife? And more importantly, can he survive the darkness brought to life within his mind? I hope that was a good narration and summary of this game. I thought it was pretty good, to be honest with you. I know it's not Alan Wake style material because the narration in this game was absolutely flawless. I hope that paints a picture of how much I really enjoyed this game. I'm going to go ahead and go over some pros of this story, and like I said, that is by far the narration. Throughout the whole game, you hear Alan narrating what's going on. He's narrating pieces of the book, he's narrating what he's doing and what others are doing, and given his brief experience of what's going on everywhere around him, and I loved every second of it. I think when it comes to dialogue, it's by far the best narration in video games by a long shot. I think it is so rich in detail when it comes to storytelling. I mean, it's like listening to an audiobook while playing the game, and it was such a cool thing to experience. I also really liked the character development. not just with Alan Wake, but Alice, his friend Barry, and all the characters that we've seen. They all did fantastic. Even Thomas Zane, which is another character that has suffered the same thing that Alan Wake is going through. Thomas Zane is such a weird character, and that's when it starts getting really sci-fi oriented in the story. As soon as I ran into Thomas Zane in this game, I was like, what the hell is that? And what the hell's going on? I was so confused until you start getting some answers, and Alan Wake explains. But the character development of everyone was so fantastic. Every character was important to the story, and they did such a good job on the characters. I cannot complain with that. The setting was by far one of the best things about this. The setting in Bright Falls reminded me a lot of Derry, Maine in Stephen King's It. Something about a small town just really gets me going, you know what I'm saying? Just really, really wets my whistle. If that is such a weird thing to say. Bright Falls, Washington is one of the best settings in a video game I've ever played. Something about being in a small town just feels very iconic and homey and relatable to me, considering I'm originally from a small town. And it was just such a cool thing to experience. It's a very scary thing. It feels actually Derry, Maine, but also feels like a lot like Castle Rock in Stephen King's books. If you've read Cujo or watched Cujo or have seen Stand By Me, Castle Rock is the small town that those are based in. And Bright Falls felt like that, especially when it comes to the story, because all of these weird things keep happening in this town. And it is because the darkness that lives within this town, this supernatural dark energy, is trying to bring the fictional ideas that are going through these artists' heads. One of them being Thomas Zane, another Alan Wake, and a lot of others throughout the years. There's an old group of friends that were in a Viking metal band that it happened to them as well. And it is so cool. I think that is one of the coolest ideas ever in video gaming. And it's, like I said, it's just like Castle Rock's. Based in Stephen King's books, because that's exactly what happens there too. I do have one con with the story, and that is getting the true ending of this game. Back in the day when Xbox Live was starting to get larger, they started doing DLCs, and Remedy and a lot of other game studios were trying to encourage people to buy DLCs through Xbox Live. So they put the true final ending of Alan Wake locked behind a paywall with DLC. And I think that is by far a crappy practice. That was only the start of the hell that we go through now in today's time. I think locking a true ending behind a paywall like that is stupid. The true ending should be in the base game, and if you want to do DLC, but don't do it as the main part of the story. And I think that was a con. Let me set this straight. The DLC was good. It was a great DLC, both chapters. I just think that's poor business practice, and we've seen it time and time again, but this is the start of it, and I hate it. I hated that. I thought that was a piece of crap. Let's talk about the gameplay though. The gameplay of this game is weirdly satisfying, is how I would put it. It is very humane. Like you can sprint and do all kinds of stuff, but you don't have a lot of stamina. You're a rider. You're not an athletic person. So when you run to sprint and run away, you do get tired easily and you will slow down. And I think that is one of the coolest gameplay mechanics ever. I think it really adds to the character portrayal in this game. And they did a really good job about that. Let me just go ahead and say the flashlight mechanic was by far one of the coolest things that I've experienced. Being able to use your flashlight to aim and to defeat these taken shadow-like creatures, I think that was a lot of fun. And the way you aim it to move it around the whole map, I think that was really cool. Overall, the gameplay was smooth, responsive, and very intuitive for its time. It's one of the smoothest gameplay experiences I played back in the day. And given the fact that I played the remastered version of this game, it is running smoother. It's running at 60 frames, and they improved the graphics, and you can't really complain about that. But there is one more con that I will list here, and that is the audio. It is at times super quiet and at times extremely loud, to the point where I have no idea where to set the volume on my headphones, and it is kind of a pain in the ass. I don't know if it was even in the remaster, I don't know if there was a lot of tweaks they could have done to improve it, but Hopefully, and I am almost sure Alan Wake 2 is going to be a lot better. It was just a con, it was a headache. I constantly had to lower the volume, raise the volume, etc. It was a pain in the ass. But let's go ahead and go over some final thoughts. Alan Wake is one of the best horror titles I've ever played. It's one of the best survival horror games I've ever played, except for Resident Evil, of course, that's the best. But Alan Wake is one of the best storytelling games in gaming. And I highly recommend anyone to play this game. Like, if you're a reader, if you like Stephen King, play the game. If you like horror, play the game. If you just want a fun story with really fun and interesting game mechanics, play this game. I'm going to give this an A+. It's easily an A+. It's listed in my top 5 favorite video games ever. So, of course, I'm going to give this an A+. But have you all played Alan Wake? Let me know down in the comments below if you have. Let me know what your favorite thing about it is, or if you don't like it, let me know why you don't like it. And please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on videos like this in the future. Also, we have memberships for as low as $3.99 where you will receive extra content such as movie reviews and other game reviews that doesn't fall in the horror gaming genre. So, if you want to help out the little guy, please do that. It is greatly appreciated. And until next time, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Take it easy, bubs.